Cambridge IGCSE, October-November 2021, 0625 Physics Paper 22. Question 1. A student is taking some measurements. Which measurement is taken directly using a micrometer screw gauge? So, micrometer screw gauge is a device used to measure small distance. Therefore, the unit of the reading will be the unit of the small distance, that is millimeter. So, in the given option C is only having a unit of distance. Therefore, the correct answer is option C. Question 2. Which graph represents an object that is moving at constant speed? And in every option we are provided with distance time graph. So from a distance time graph we should be able to describe the speed. So here we need to know that if we have a distance time graph, in order to check about the speed we just need to calculate the gradient of the graph, gradient or slope. So just find the gradient, that value will be equal to its speed. So in order to find which graph represent a constant speed, we just to check which graph showing a or having a constant gradient. So constant gradient means constant slope. Let's look at the graph of option A, where you can see it is a straight line. That means an horizontal straight line. So here the gradient is 0. Gradient is 0 means speed is 0. That means the object given in option A is not moving, or the object is at rest. Now we can look at the graph given in option B, where the gradient or slope we can see it is keep increasing. It's gradually increasing. It's not constant, but the slope is keep increasing. So the gradient increasing, therefore the speed also increasing. So here the motion of the object in option B is, the object is moving with an increasing speed. Let's look at the graph given in option C. When we check the gradient of the graph, we can see its gradient is increasing but in opposite direction. So here the gradient is increasing, or the slope is increasing in opposite direction. So the speed also increasing, but the object is moving towards the origin. In option D we can see the gradient is constant, or the slope is constant. As gradient is constant, speed also constant. Therefore option D is the graph which is having a motion with constant speed. Therefore the correct answer is option D. Question 3. In which situation does object X have a greater mass than object Y? So we need to identify in which given option mass of object X is greater than mass of object Y. Which statement satisfies this condition? So let's look at option A. Object X is in a larger gravitational field than object Y. That means the gravitational field strength of X is greater than gravitational field strength of Y, and both have the same weight. That means the weight of X is equal to weight of Y. Now we have to check mass of X is greater than mass of Y or not. So here we can use the equation. Weight is nothing but mass times gravitational field strength, and for the weight of X it will be the mass of X times the gravitational field strength of X. Likewise weight of Y will be mass of Y times gravitational field strength of Y, where in the option it is given that they both have the same weight. That means Wx, weight of X and weight of Y is same. So as the LHS of the equation is equal, we can equate the right hand side of the equations. So we will get mx gx, that is the weight of X must be equal to my gy, that is the weight of y. And in the question it's given that gx is greater than gy. That means the gx value is greater than gy, so gy must be smaller. And in order to equalize this, the mass of x therefore must be a smaller value comparing to mass of y. So in given option A, we can write or we can conclude the mass of y must be greater than mass of x. So which is not satisfying the condition given in the question. So option A is wrong. Let's look at option B. Object X shows a greater resistance to change in motion than object Y, and both experience the same resultant force. So when there is an equal force acting on both objects, object X shows a greater resistance. So the resistance to change in motion is nothing but mass. So object X is having a greater resistance or greater mass. So from this we can understand mass of X must be greater than mass of Y. So which is satisfying the condition given in the question. Therefore correct answer is option B. Question number 4. Which substance in the table has the lowest density? So in order to find out the lowest density, we can use the equation of density. That is, density is mass over volume. Here mass and volume for all these objects are given, materials are given. So we can find out the density of the substance given in option A. That is mass, which is 1.2 times volume 1. So we will get 1.2 gram over centimeter cube. That is the density of the substance nylon. Likewise, density of the object substance given in option B, that is density of cotton, which is 1.5, that is a mass over volume is 1. So we will get 1.5 gram over centimeter cube. Then we can find the density of the substance olive oil, which is given in option C. So the mass is 1.8 over volume is 2, and we will get 0.9 gram per centimeter cube. Finally, the density of water, which is given in option D, is 2 over 2. Then we will get 1 gram over centimeter cube. Now we can compare all these densities and we can identify olive oil has the least density, only 0.9. Therefore, the correct answer is option C. Question 5. 3 simple machines are shown: moving soil with a wheelbarrow, cutting string with scissors, screwing a screw with a screwdriver. Which machines are an application of the moment of a force? So moment is nothing but turning effect of a force. That means whenever there is a force applied, something should have been turning. And in the first example we can see when he is applying a force, the tire of the wheelbarrow is turning. So there is a turning effect when he is applying a force. Therefore the first machine is an application of moment of force. Let's look at the second option. When there is a force applying, the scissor is turning. So scissor is also an example of turning effect of moment. And the third machine, it's about screwdriver, and we know that when he apply a force, the screw turns. So again there is a turning effect when a force is applied. So all the given machines are in application of moment of force. Therefore the correct answer is option A, 1, 2 and 3. Question 6. A spring which obeys Hooke's law has an unstretched length of 10 centimeter. A load of 20 Newton is suspended from the spring. The new length of the spring is 36 centimeter. What is the spring constant K of the spring? Here we can use the equation, Hooke's law equation, that is force is equal to spring constant times extension, where force is given which is 50 Newton, but extension is not given. So we can find out extension, that is the new length of the spring minus unstretched length, and the new length is 36 centimeter minus unstretched length is 10 centimeter. So we will get 26 centimeter is the extension of the spring. Now we have force and extension, so we can find out K. In order to find out K, we can make K as a subject. So the equation will become spring constant K is equal to force over extension, where force is 20 Newton, extension is 26 centimeter. We don't have to convert centimeter into meter. The reason is in the option also the unit is given in centimeter. So no need to convert centimeter into meter. Therefore, the answer in 2 figure is 0.77. Hence, the correct answer is option B. Question 7. A rocket is launched upward from the surface of the moon. Hot gases are ejected downwards over a very short period of time. This statement is not correct. Option A. The rocket experiences a downward force, and that is correct. Due to the weight of the rocket, definitely there will be a downward force acting. So the statement given in option A is correct. Option B, the rocket experiences an upward force. That is also correct. When the gases are ejected downwards, this gas will exert an opposite force on the rocket, that will be upwards. Because of that force only, upward force only, the rocket is moving upward. So there will be definitely a greater upward force. So the statement given in option B is also correct. The total momentum of the hot gas is equal to the momentum of the rocket. That is not correct, because the hot gas is moving downwards and the rocket is moving upwards. So both traveling in opposite direction, so that momentum is a vector quantity. So when one momentum is positive, the other one, the momentum of gas, will be negative. If we consider the momentum of rocket is positive, momentum of the gas will be negative as they are moving in opposite direction. So it is never going to be equal. The value will be equal, but the sign is opposite. Therefore, the statement given in option C is wrong. So the correct answer of question 7 is option C. Question 8. Electrical energy may be obtained from nuclear fission. In which order is the energy transferred in this process? So in order to know the answer of this question, know the process of how nuclear fission can be used to generate electrical energy. So basically, initially we will have nuclear fuel, the materials or substances which will be undergo nuclear fission process. When they undergo nuclear fission process, it will produce lot of heat energy. So nuclear fuels will produce lots of heat energy, and which will connect to the reactor where we will have water. So this heat energy will make the water to boil. So, and this boiled water will be ejecting out lot of fast moving high energy water vapors, and these water vapors will make the turbine to rotate. So there will be turbine or something which is movable. So when these water vapors heats, they are with very fast moving high energy water vapors. When they hit the turbine rotates. So this mechanical movement or rotation can create electrical energy. So it will connect to the generator, and generator will produce electrical energy. Therefore, the correct answer is option D. Question 9. A box of mass m slides down a slope of length L against a frictional force F. It descends a vertical height D. So there is a box of mass m and which is moving down the slope in this direction, and the total length of the slope is L. Initially the box is d distance away from the ground, and When this box sliding down, there is a frictional force which will be acting in opposite direction, which is given. The frictional force is in the opposite direction of the motion of the box. These are the important informations given in this question about the motion of the box. As the box slides down the slope, it loses gravitational potential energy and it does work against the friction. Which row gives the loss in gravitational potential energy and work done against friction? So we can see what is the loss in gravitational potential energy. So when the box reaches from this position to the down the slope, it will definitely lose its gravitational potential energy because of the height difference, and that gravitational potential energy we can see using the equation of gravitational potential energy, that is mass of the box times gravitational field strength times the height from the ground. Gravitational potential energy is the energy due to the height from the ground, not the length of the slope. Don't confuse with this length. So mg, and we have to consider this distance d, or the distance from the ground, so which is given with the letter d. So this is the initial gravitational potential energy, and when the box reached on the ground, it will lose all its gravitational potential energy. So the loss in gravitational potential energy is mgd. Therefore it's not mgl. So option C and D are wrong. Next we need to check about the work done against friction. So there is a force acting F, and against this force the object is moving a distance, that is L. So the work done is nothing but force times the distance moved by the object. Here the distance moved is nothing but the length of the slope, that is L. So work done is FL. Therefore the correct answer is option A, which gives us the correct equation of the gravitational potential energy and work done. So correct answer is option A. Question 10. A rope connected to a pulley system and motor is used to lift different objects through different distances. The time taken to lift each object is the same. The diagrams are not to scale. Which motor requires a greater power? So we have to identify which motor has a greater power, as they all are doing different works but the time taken is same. So we need to check about the power. The equation of power is work done over time. But for all the motors, the time taken to do the work is same. As it's mentioned in the question, the time taken to lift each object is the same. Now we have to check which motor has more power. We should check which motor is doing more work. As the time is same for all, we cannot look at the time part because it's same for every motor. But now we can look at the work done. Which motor has to do more work, that will have more power, or that will require more power. So let's look at each option. So here the mass is given, which is 10 kg, therefore weight will be mg, that is 10 times 10, which is 100 Newton. So there must be a upward 100 Newton act. So we have the force, which is 100 Newton, and distance is 2 meter. So we can calculate the work done. The work done equation is force times distance, where force we have calculated, which is 100 Newton, the weight of the object, times the distance given is 2 meter. Therefore the work done is 200 joule. So in order to lift this 10 kg object to 2 meter height, the motor should do a work equivalent to 200 joule. Now let's look at option B. Here mass is 5 kilograms, so weight we can calculate that using the equation mg, that is mass is 5 times g is 10, so we will get 50 Newton. So that is the force, upward force should act equal to its weight, which is 50 Newton, and the distance is given is 3 meter. So we can calculate work done by motor given in B must be equal to force times distance, where force is 50 Newton times distance is 3. So we will get 150 joule of work. So comparing to the motor in option A, the motor in option B has to do less work, only 150 joule. Now we can calculate the work done by motor C in the same way. So here mass is 10 kg, so weight is 10 mass times mg, that is mass is 10 times g is 10, so we will get 100 Newton. So there must be an upward force of 100 Newton should act, and the distance given here is 1 meter. Now we can calculate work done by the motor C is force times distance, where force is 100 Newton times distance is only 1 meter. So the work done by motor C is only 100 joule. Now we can calculate the motor given in the last option. So the mass is 2 kilogram, that means weight is mass times g, that is 2 times 10, so 20 Newton. So the upward force acting must be 20 Newton, and the distance is 3 meter. So we can find out the work done by the motor D using work done equation, force into distance, where force is 20 Newton times distance is 3. So we will get 60 joule. Now we can compare all these work done. Motor A 200 joule of work done, motor B 150 joule, motor C 100 joule, and motor D 60 joule. So the motor which has the greatest power or which requires the greatest power is the one which is doing greatest work, and the correct answer is option A. Question 11. Which equation can be used to calculate the pressure at the depth h beneath the surface of a liquid? It is a direct question. We have to identify which equation can be used to calculate the pressure in a fluid or liquid, and we know that the pressure is height times density times gravitational field strength. So the correct answer is option C. Question 12. A liquid is evaporating, the liquid is not boiling. Which statement about the liquid is correct at an instant in time? So in order to answer this question, we need to understand the difference between evaporation and boiling. So here the liquid is evaporating, not boiling. So we have to identify which statement supports evaporation or explain the property of evaporation, not boiling. Option A says any molecule can escape, but for evaporation, only the molecule at the surface of the liquid will escape. This statement is actually correct for boiling. So option A is wrong. Option B, any molecules can escape. Again, yes, but only from the liquid surface, which is correct. But it's not about any molecule. Only the molecule with highest energy will escape. So option B is also wrong. Half part of the statement in option B is correct, but it's not any molecule, only the molecule with high energy. Let's look at option C. Only molecule with enough energy can escape, only from the liquid surface. Yes, that is correct. Option D says only molecule with enough energy can escape. That one is correct. But from any part of the liquid, no. Evaporation will happen only at the surface. Therefore, correct answer is option C. Question 13. A gas is contained in a sealed container in a laboratory. The temperature of the gas increases. What happens to the average speed and what happens to the total kinetic energy of the gas molecule? So here we need to know that when temperature of a gas increases, the particles gain more energy and they started to move faster. So the speed of the particle will also increase. When speed increases, the kinetic energy will also increase, as kinetic energy is depending upon the speed. So here when the temperature of the gas increases, both average speed and total kinetic energy both increases. Therefore, the correct answer is option D. 14. An aluminium block has a mass of 200 gram. The specific heat capacity of the aluminium is 900 joule per kg degree Celsius. How much energy is required to increase the temperature of the block from 20 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius? So in this question, we just need to calculate the energy needed, where the mass of the object is given, which is 200 gram, which we have to convert into kilogram. In order to convert gram into kilogram, we should multiply with 10 to the power minus 3. So we will get mass in kilogram. And the specific heat capacity, C, is given. Then the change in temperature, delta T, which is from 20 degree to 110 degree. So the change in temperature is the difference of two temperatures, that is 90 degrees Celsius. Now we have to use the equation which relates specific heat capacity and energy, that is energy required is the product of mass times specific heat capacity times change in temperature, where mass is 200 times 10 to the power minus 3 times specific heat capacity is 900 times change in temperature is 90. So we will get 16,200 joule. Hence the correct answer is option C. Question 15. The diagram shows the apparatus used to measure the specific latent heat of vaporization of water. After water begins to boil, 110 degree of water is converted to steam in 120 seconds. Using the results, what is the value of specific latent heat of vaporization of water? In this question, we need to find out specific latent heat of vaporization, L. And here we can use the equation of specific latent heat of vaporization. That latent heat is equal to energy over the mass, where mass is given, which is 110 gram. That means 110 into 10 to the power minus 3 kilogram. So the mass is provided, but energy we need to calculate first. But the power of the heater is given, and the power is 2 kilowatt. That means 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 watts. That is the power. And time is also given, that is 120 seconds. If we have power and time, we can calculate energy. That energy is the product of power and time. So we can substitute the values of power times time 120. Then we will get 240. Power is 10 to the power plus 3. Okay, it is kilowatt. So we will get 240 10 to the power 3 joule. So this is the energy, and mass also we have, so we can substitute. So we will get 240 times 10 to the power 3 over the mass is 110 times 10 to the power minus 3, and the answer in two significant figure is 2200000 joule over kg. Therefore the correct answer is option D. Question 16. The diagram shows a pan used for cooking food. Which row is correct for the materials used to make the base and the handle of the pan? So the base of the pan, we know that the base of the pan should be a good thermal conductor, because it should transfer heat from the fire. Then only we can cook the food so quickly. So the base should make always with a material which should be a good thermal conductor. Whereas handle which should not let the heat to transfer. So always the handle should make with a material which should be a poor thermal conductor. So the correct answer is option B. Base pan should be a good thermal conductor and handle of the pan must be a poor thermal conductor. Then only we can hold without burning our hand. In 17 is from the topic waves. The diagram shows the pattern of water waves as they pass through a narrow gap. Which row names the process shown and describe the effect of using a wider gap? So here we can see when the waves passing through a slit, it bends, and this property of wave is known as diffraction. So the name of this process is diffraction, not refraction. Next is about what will happen when the gap is wider. So in this given picture we can see the distance between wave fronts, that is nothing but wavelength, and the gap width, both are almost same. So the amount of diffraction will be maximum. So as shown in the figure, when gap width is equal to the wavelength, the diffraction will be maximum. But now when the gap width increases or it becomes wider, what will happen to the amount of diffraction? It will reduce. So the waves spread out less, or less diffraction will happen. Therefore the correct answer is option C. Question 18. Which row is not correct for a wave on the surface of water? So in the options, different physical quantities related to a water wave is given, and its unit is also given, where amplitude is measured in meter because it's the distance from the mean position to the maximum displacement. Frequency is measured in hertz. Wavelength is a distance and it's measured in meter, not lambda. Lambda is the symbol of wavelength, not the unit. And speed is correct. The unit of speed is meter per second. So the wrong row is option C. Question 19. The diagram shows how a ray of light refracts when going from air to perspex. The critical angle of perspex is C. Which expression is correct? So here we can see Z is the angle of refraction and X is the angle of incidence, and critical angle is C. So the correct equation which relates C, angle of incidence, and angle of refraction is sin Z over sin X is equal to sin critical angle. Therefore the correct answer is option B. You have to memorize the equations related to this topic, then only you will be able to solve these questions. Question 20. The diagram shows a ray of light in air incident on a glass block. Some of the light is refracted and some of the light is reflected. Two angles P and Q are marked on the diagram. Which row gives an angle of incidence and state whether the total internal reflection occurs? So angle of incidence is the angle between the incident light and the normal. Therefore Q is the angle of incidence. That means correct answer will be either C or D. Now let's check about the total internal reflection. As the name indicates, total internal reflection means all the rays will reflected back. But in this case, all the rays are not reflecting back. You can see some of the rays are refracting. So total internal reflection is not occurring. Therefore, the correct answer is option C. Question 21. The letter F is reflected in a mirror. What does the optical image look like? So here we need to know the characteristics of the image formed in a plane mirror. So the image will be erect, not inverted. So option C and option D is wrong, but it will be laterally inverted. Therefore, the correct answer is option B. Question 22. The sun emits infrared radiation and light. Light from sun reaches the earth in 8 minutes. Which row gives correct information about infrared radiation? Option A says the wavelength of infrared radiation is longer than the wavelength of light, which is correct. you have to memorize the range of wavelength for all electromagnetic waves so you can identify this statement is correct. And time taken for the infrared radiation to reach Earth is 8 minutes. That is also correct. Even though their wavelength is different, both are electromagnetic waves, and speed of electromagnetic wave, whether it is gamma or light rays or infrared or radio waves, its speed all constant, which is 3 times 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So same speed means it will take same time. Therefore the correct answer is option A. Question 23. Which statement about electromagnetic wave is not correct? Option A says they travel at 3 times 10 to the power 8 meter per second in a vacuum. That is a correct statement. Option B, they transfer energy. Correct. Option C says they travel at 340 meter per second in air. That is a wrong statement. Its speed is almost same as the speed in vacuum, which is 3 times 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Therefore, the wrong statement is option C and correct answer is option C. Question 24. What is ultrasound? Ultrasound is nothing but sound wave, but its frequency is greater than audible range. So this is the more important point about ultrasound. Its frequency will be greater than audible range. Audible range means 20 Hz to 20 kilohertz. So the ultrasound's frequency will be always greater than 20 kilohertz. And when the frequency is greater means pitch will be greater, because pitch and frequency are related. The more pitch means the more frequency. Hence the correct answer is option B. It is a sound wave that are too high pitched. Too high pitched means too high frequency for human to hear. Yes, human cannot hear as its frequency range is greater than the audible range. Therefore, the correct answer is option B. 25. Which diagram shows the electric field pattern between two oppositely charged parallel metal plates? So, it will be parallel straight line, the electric field between two parallel lines, and the direction of an electric field will be always from a positive side to negative side. Therefore, the correct answer is option A. Their field lines will be parallel straight line, equidistance away, and the direction always from positive to negative. Question 26. Which circuit symbol represents a component used to measure electric current? And the answer is very simple, which is ammeter. Question 27. The graph shows the current voltage characteristics for a conductor, where on the graph can Ohm's law be applied to the conductor. According to Ohm's law, voltage is directly proportional to current. Therefore, if you plot a graph for directly proportional relationships where V on voltage on x-axis and current on y-axis, when voltage and current is directly proportional to each other, the graph will be always a straight line passing through the origin. That is the characteristics of a directly proportional graph. So the graph will be a straight line and it will be passing through the origin. So here you can see from P to Q, it's starting from origin and it is straight line till Q. That means from P to Q, voltage is directly proportional to current, and that is nothing but Ohm's law. Therefore, on the graph, Ohm's law be applied from P to Q. Therefore, the correct answer is option B. 29. There is a current I in a resistor. The potential difference PD across the resistor is V. Which other physical quantity is needed to be able to determine the energy transferred by the resistor? So we have a resistor in this question, and there is a current flowing through the resistor which is I, and the voltage or potential difference across the resistor is V. And in order to calculate the energy transferred by the resistor, which other physical quantity we need? So here we can use the equation. of voltage. Voltage is energy transferred over charge. So from this we can write the equation of energy by making energy as the subject. So we will get energy is voltage times charge. Therefore energy is voltage times charge. Again we can change. Charge is the product of current and time. Therefore instead of charge we can write I times T. So we can understand that in order to calculate the energy transferred, we need voltage, current, and the third physical quantity required is time. Therefore, the correct answer is option D, the time T for which there is a current in the resistor. Question 30. The diagrams show a pair of circuits containing logic gates. In which diagram does the lowest circuit of the pair behave differently from the upper circuit? Let's study the truth table of each logic gate. So for option A, when input is 0, the output will be 1. When input is 1, the output will be 0. For the second logic gate given in option A, when input is 0, both sides it will be 0, 0. So the output for a NAND gate will be 1. Likewise, when input is 1, at both input it will be 1, 1, and therefore the output will be 0. So we can see both logic gates have the same function, like when we give 0 input, output is 1 for both. When we give 1 input, the output is 0 for both the logic gates. So option A is not giving a different behavior. So option A is not correct answer. Let's look at option B. The first one is an AND gate and its truth table is when inputs, if it's A and B, the output values for 0, 0 it will be 0, for 0, 1 it will be again 0, for 1, 0 again 0, only for 1, 1 we will get a 1 value. We can see what will be the output for the second combination of logic gates. The initial option 0, 0. So when we give 0, 0, since it is a NAND gate, the output will be just opposite of an AND gate. So the output must be 1. Therefore, the inputs of the second NAND gate will be 1, 1. So the output is 0. Therefore, when we give 0, 0 as the input, output is 0. So 0, 0, the output is 0. So here also we can see even when the input 0, 0, the output is getting 0 for both logic gates. So they are not showing a different behavior. So option B is also not correct answer. We don't have to look other options because in the question it's mentioned it should behave differently. But here even for the first pair of inputs they are not behaving differently. So option B is also not correct answer. Let's look at option C. So we have the OR gate truth table. So when we give 0, 0 at the input, 0 will be the output. Other possible inputs are 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1. For all these values output will be 1. Now let's look at for the second logic gate in the same option. We can start with the first input, possible input, that is 0, 0, and we know that the output will be 1 since it is a NOR gate. Now this 1 we are connecting to the input of a NAND gate, and the output of a NAND gate when both inputs are 1, 1 will be 0. So here we can see when both inputs are 0, the output is 0. Same like the output of the OR gate, when both inputs are 0, the output is 0. So for option C also we are not getting an answer or an output which is different from first and second logic gate. So the only option is remaining is option D. So that will be the correct answer. And you can check, if you check you will not get the same outputs for both the logic gates. Question 31. Several cells are connected in series as shown. What is the combined electromotive force of the cells? So here 4 cells are connected in series as we can see. So what will be the resultant EMF? When cells are connected in series, the resultant EMF will be the total sum of the individual EMF. For example, if the first cell is having a EMF of 2 volt and the second one is 3 volt, third one again 2 volt, and the last one if it has 1 volt of EMF, then the total combined EMF will be the sum of all these EMFs. So 8 volt. Therefore, the correct answer is option D, the sum of the EMFs of the cell. Question 32. Two resistors with resistances R1 and R2 are connected in parallel. The resistance R1 is greater than the resistance R2. What is the resistance of parallel combination? So here we have two resistors, they are connected in parallel. So when we check the parallel combination, the combined resistance will be always less than either R1 and or R2. So the correct answer is option A. Question 33. The diagram shows a motor connected to an AC supply. The circuit is incomplete. Which device needs to be connected between points X and point Y to prevent the wires from overheating if a fault in the motor causes the current to get too high? So here we will be using a fuse, because of the purpose of fuse is to protect the circuit by preventing the overflow of current. Therefore, the correct answer is option B. Question 34. The diagram shows a wire between two magnets. An electromotive force is induced in the wire when it is moved up between two magnets. 4 tests are done. The direction of movement of the wire is reversed. The direction of the magnetic field is reversed. The wire is moved more quickly. The magnetic field strength is decreased. Which test will induce a smaller EMF in the wire? So we are provided with an example of a electromagnetic induction, where a conductor placed in between two magnetic poles or in a magnetic field. And when a upward force applied on the wire, because of the movement of this conductor in the magnetic field, an EMF is induced in the wire. Therefore, a current started to flow through the wire. Now, we need to check, in order to reduce the EMF or induced EMF, what change we should make. So let's look at each option. In the first case, it's mentioned that the direction of the movement of the wire is reversed. That means instead of moving upward, if we move the wire downwards, will the EMF reduce? Induced EMF will reduce? No. When we reverse the direction of motion, only the induced EMF direction will reverse. That means initially it produced a plus 3 voltage of EMF. Then when you reverse, it will produce 3 voltage EMF only, but in opposite direction. So it will be minus 3 volt. So it simply changes the direction but not reducing the EMF. Let's look at the second test. The direction of the magnetic field is reversed. So instead of north and south pole in this direction, by changing the poles or by reversing the magnetic field also result an EMF in opposite direction, or the EMF also will be reversed. It's not going to reduce the induced EMF. Therefore, option 1 and 2 are not correct, which is not going to give a less induced EMF. Option 3 says the wire is moved more quickly. The more quickly the wire moves, the more induced EMF it will produce. But here we need to know the less induced EMF production. So we can check option 4. The magnetic field strength is decreased. Yes, when the field strength reduces, definitely the induced EMF will be less. Therefore, only the correct test which will result a less induced EMF is test 4. So correct answer is option D. Question 35. For positions of a current carrying coil in a magnetic field as in a DC motor are shown in diagram 2 and 4, the coil is at angle 45 degree to the field. Which row is correct? So we can see there is a permanent magnetic field in between north and south poles, and where current carrying coils are kept in different positions as shown. Let's check which row is correct. First statement is about turning effect of the force in position 1 and 3. So we can check position 1 and 3. In 1, the position or the current carrying conductor and magnetic field both are parallel to each other. But in in option 3, we can see that the current carrying conductor kept perpendicular to the or at 90 degree to the magnetic field. But in first case, both are parallel. The current carrying conductor and the magnetic field both are parallel. The turning effect of the force in position 1 and 3 is different. We can see when it is parallel, the turning effect will be 0. But when at 90 degree, the turning effect will be maximum. So the turning effect of the forces in position 1 and 3 will be definitely different. Second column says the turning effect of the forces in position 2 and 4. We can see in position 2, the conductor and the magnetic field is at 45 degree, and in position 2 also the conductor and the magnetic field is at 45 degree. It is mentioned in the question. 2 and 4, the coils at an angle 45 degree to the field. So the angle between the conductor and magnetic field is same for both cases, which is at 45 degree, so that the turning effect will be same. As angle same, this turning effect will be same. But here in option A, says it is different, so this option is wrong. In option C, it says the turning effect of the forces in position 1 and 3 is different. Yes, we have seen, because in 1 it's parallel, so the turning effect will be 0, but in 4 it is perpendicular. Sorry, in 3 it is perpendicular, so it will have a maximum turning effect. And for option 2 and 4, it is same. So both columns are same for option B. Therefore, the correct answer is option B. Question 36. The diagram shows the magnetic field due to a current in a solenoid. The direction of the current is reversed. Which row describe the effect that this has on the magnitude and on the direction of the magnetic field? So we have a solenoid here, and there is a current flowing as shown in the direction. You can see the direction of the current flow is in this way. Whenever there is a current flow in a solenoid, it will produce a magnetic field, and the magnetic field lines are shown in this figure. As you can see, these are the magnetic field lines. Let's look at each option and check which row describe the effect that it has on the magnitude and on the direction of the magnetic field. Option A says the magnitude of the magnetic field increase when the current just reversed. So here current only reversing, the amount of current is not increasing. So the magnitude of the magnetic field is not going to increase, but it will just reverse. So the direction will be reversed, but the value or the magnitude will be same, or it will be unchanged. Therefore option A and B is wrong. Option C and D says the same, that it unchanged, which is correct. Just by reversing the current, it's only reversing the direction of magnetic field. So the direction of magnetic field will be reversed. So it changes. Therefore, the correct answer is option C. Therefore, we can conclude by reversing the flow of the direction of current in a solenoid, the amount of or the strength or magnitude of the magnetic field will be same. It will only reverse the direction of magnetic field. Question 37. The nucleus of an americium atom contains 146 neutrons and 95 protons. It decays by emitting an alpha particles. How many neutrons and how many protons remain in the nucleus when it forms an americium decay? So we have an element americium. When it decays an alpha particle has a proton number 2 and a mass number 4. So along with this we will get a new product, let it be X. So here for this americium atom, the atomic number is nothing but the number of proton is 95 and mass number is the number of protons plus neutron, that is 95 plus 146 is equal to 241. So at the LHS of the equation we have the proton number, that is 95, and mass number 241. But from this an alpha particle decayed, or there is a loss of 2 in proton number and 4 in mass number. So the remaining will be 95 minus 2, that is 93, and 241 minus 4, because the RHS and LHS, the equations or the mass and atomic number should be balanced. So we will get 237. So for this element or for this new element, we can identify that number of proton is 93 and number of neutron we can calculate by subtracting the mass number minus number of proton, and the mass number here we have 237. So we can subtract 237 minus proton number, which is 93, and the answer is 144. So the remaining proton number is 93 and neutron number is 144. Therefore the correct answer is option C. Question 38. A sample of americium decays and changes into neptunium. The half-life of americium is 432 years. Which fraction of the americium will remain after 1728 years? Here the half-life of americium is given, that is 432 years. We need to check which fraction of americium will remain after 1728 years. So we can check how many half-lives or number of half-life will be going through in 1728 years. For that we just need to divide the total time over half-life. So we will get 4. That means in 1728 years the americium sample must have gone through 4 half-lives. So after 4 half-life, how much will remain from the initial sample or the sample at the starting time? So we can consider like we had X amount of samples at the starting or when time is 0 or initial time. After 1 half-life, it will become half of this initial value. After second half-life, again it will become half of the initial value, and after third half-life, again half of the value will be reduced. Then one more half-life, again we will have to divide by 2. So this will be the total remaining amount after first half-life, and after second half-life we have to multiply again 1/2 to know the third half-life. After third half-life, how much will remain, we have to multiply again with half, and after fourth half-life, in order to check how much is remaining, we have to again divide half of the amount. So here by multiplying all these we can see it will be how much they had at initially times 1/16. So only 1/16th fraction of the initial amount will remain. Therefore, the correct option is option B. So here only you just need to find how many half-lives are undergoing during the given span of time, and you have to multiply that many times with 1/2. Question 39. The graph shows the decay curves of 4 different radioactive isotopes. Which isotope has the largest half-life? So the isotope which has largest half-time means which will take long time to decay. So here you can see the option A isotope, even after a long time it still remains same, or count rate is still as initial. That means it's not decaying much. So it must be having a highest half-life, or it will take long time to decay. Therefore, option A is correct, which has the largest half-life. Question 40. The diagram shows alpha particles and beta particles passing through an electric field. Which diagram shows the correct paths of the alpha particles and beta particles? Let's look at each option. First, the charge of alpha particle is positive, so it will deviate to the negative plate. So we can see alpha particles which is attracting or moving towards the negative plate. That is correct because opposite charges will attract. Likewise, beta particle has negative charge, so it will attract to the positive side. But here you can see the bending of alpha particle and beta particle is same amount, which is not possible. The beta particle will deviate more to the positive side as it is not that heavy as alpha particle. Therefore, the path deviation is not correct for the given beta particle. So, option A is not correct. Let's look at option B. As we discussed, alpha particle is positive, so it will deviate to the negative plate, and beta particle is negative, so it will deviate to the positive plate, and its deviation is more comparing to the alpha particle, which is correct. Therefore, option B is correct. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe my channel for more past paper solutions.